Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is your host, Larry Lou, and you are tuned in to T3 Podcast, Transformation Through Truth, because truth is the only way that we can become better today than we were yesterday. Today will be the last episode in this podcast installment, so to speak. Didn't plan it that way, but I felt like the dialectical tension / conflict was very important for us to discuss to get a full understanding. And so I wanted to kind of stretch it out a little bit, hoping that me doing that would give you a full understanding of dialectical tension, something that we deal with on a daily basis. So today, I want to talk about Eros and Thanatos. Eros represents love, Thanatos represents death. Thanatos is the son of Kite, the goddess of night, while Eros is the son of Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty and light. Now, I know I said Thanatos, and some of you may automatically think of the Marvel character Thanos. Marvel took that character Thanos from Thanatos. Thanatos and Eros are Greek mythical gods. Okay, so you have Thanatos, who is in charge of death and destruction. This is what he brings. Marvel, if you remember the character Thanos, that's what he believed in. He was obsessed with death and destruction. His whole idea of the world and how to save it was to bring death and to bring destruction. But Marvel took that character and mimicked it from Thanatos, this Greek mythical god. So as I said before, Thanatos represents death and destruction. Thanos, if you remember the movie, he killed off half of the population. So you have your death, and when you add the destruction piece, people who die, and let's just use the movie for instance, it was random, so it was men, women, whoever. But if you take that in a real context, if you have a man that happens to die and he's married and has children, that puts a strain on the family. No matter how you look at it, it's going to put a strain on the family, whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, whether the wife doesn't have the support that she used to have. There's going to be some type of backlash from that, and vice versa. If the man is working and the woman is watching the kids and the woman dies, this brings a conflict. This brings a stress, a struggle, because if he has to go to work, who's going to watch the kids? You see what I'm saying? His parents might be deceased or might not be able. Maybe he doesn't have a whole lot of money to pay, babysitters, or maybe he works second shift, and who's going to pick up the kids from school? There can be a lot of challenges that come up from death that can cause destruction. So when we talk about Thanatos, this is what we're talking about: confusion, heartaches. You see what I'm saying? So this is Thanatos. On the other hand, you have Eros, who is nothing but love and politeness and courteous and and is charitable, all of the good things. This is Eros. Now, 10 times out of 10, most people are going to choose Eros for their life. Who wouldn't? Natural. We run towards pleasure and we run away from pain. But there's a problem. And the problem is these two have to coexist. And if you are familiar with that word from either my past podcasts or just in general, they coexist, but can they simultaneously coexist? Meaning at the exact same time. So, when we're talking about these two, love and death, there are going to be times where, although we want love and we would choose love, sometimes that love is going to be severed. Sometimes it will be severed. And so then the question becomes, what happens then? What happens when Thanatos rears his face? And if they have to, and if you can't have one without the other, it's going to happen at some point. There's just not always going to be, or I should say, there's not always going to be the feeling of loving someone. So, for instance, in the Christian Bible, there's a scripture when Jesus is talking in the Gospels. So just to bring this home a little bit more, he's talking, and although we know Jesus as the embodiment of love, he says he comes to bring a sword. He says he did not come to bring peace. He said he comes to put mother against daughter, father against son. So this is what is said in the Christian Bible. So that tells us that you cannot have one without the other. But what we tend to do is even if and it's natural for us not to chase after death, not to chase after destruction, it does exist. And we at least need to honor the other side of love. We have to honor that because it will rear its face sooner or later. So let me try to explain to you what I'm talking about. You have love, or Eros and Thanatos, love and death, affection and anger. So Thanatos brings division. It doesn't bring people together. It separates people. Love is what coalesces, what brings unity. But there are going to be times when that unity will be severed, when it will fall apart. When something happens and causes that love to be severed by disagreement, disappointment, pain, conflict, whatever it may be, the question is, what are you going to do then? We all can quote unquote love when everything is going well. That's not an issue for anybody. Even those who you think have no love within them. They can get along, if nothing else. Even if they don't love somebody, two people don't love somebody, if things are going their way, they can get along with each other. That's for sure. But when Thanatos steps in what is going to be the response? Well, as we all know, and this is truism at its best, meaning self-evident, the divorce rate still around 50%, and if I'm not mistaken, it's even higher for people who get married a second time. This is proof, it is self-evident that Thanatos, when he rears his head, that people don't know how to handle that. Where was all the love, or where is all the love when Thanatos appears? And he will. He's going to. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Again, because of just life in general. And when I say life in general, and we're talking about divorce, most people, when they are going through a divorce, when they are separating from each other, when Thanatos is leading the way, because again, Thanatos separates, it divides. When that happens, what is the statement that is on every divorce decree? Irreconcilable differences. That's what people usually voice to others, to the court, to whoever. And basically, what does that mean? Differences that cannot be resolved or worked through. Differences that cannot be resolved or worked through. Irreconcilable differences. And there can be many things that can cause these rifts in relationships to where we feel like there is no coming back. Somebody may want a kid, and somebody, maybe they changed their mind and said that they don't. If it was ever even discussed in the first place, right? Where's the compromise in, I want a kid and you don't? How do you compromise that? Whether a kid will be raised Christian or Muslim, how do you compromise that? Some people may figure it out, but I know some people who are stern on it's either this way or no way. On both sides. On both sides. People's priorities. People's needs and wants don't align. So here we have things that cannot be resolved. Here we have things that cannot be worked through. And there's a division, a stalemate, and no one's willing to try to compromise if it's even possible. And so we have to go our separate ways. But again, the big question is that always, or should that always be the answer? Because in those situations, I mean, if you take baby or not, it's not to say that one is right and one is wrong. I can sit up here and give you 5-10 reasons why a person should, and give you 5 or 10 reasons why a person maybe shouldn't have a kid. And that's not to say that one person is right and the other person is wrong, or one's opinion is right and another person's opinion is wrong. That's not what this is. But again, when you have this dialectical tension and this conflict, love and death, Eros and Thanatos, affection and anger, and I'm explaining to you how anger divides. This is what anger does. So one of the things that really stood out to me, or that stands out to me in relationships, is when people have to compromise. They compromise something that is essential to who they are. That to me is probably number one. Compromising who we are to get along. When one subordinates themselves so much that they chip away who they really are, to the point where they are unrecognizable to themselves and then others, the only recourse a lot of time, and you will see this if you pay attention, is rage. Because all this repressed emotion, has nowhere to go. It's still there. It's still there. And the more we try to combat it, the stronger that it's getting. The stronger that it's getting. That's why it's never good to repress your emotions, because sooner or later they will come out and then everybody looking at you, they crazy. What's wrong with them? They just lost it. You don't want that. We don't want that. But I'm explaining to you in relationships how this breaks down. And if you're not aware, which a lot of us are not, if this is unconscious to you, just kind of pay attention to what I'm saying and then kind of think back. This is how it works for us all when it comes to relationships, and how it leads to a breakdown, and how it leads to Thanatos being the ruler, being the leader of the relationship, being the guide, being the one that we lean on more than Eros. This is how it happens. When you meet someone, everybody is putting forth their representative, as people like to call it, their best selves. It's natural. No one's going to just come and tell them all of the bad things about them so that the person doesn't like them. We're trying to be liked. We're trying to get affection. We all want affection. Affection feels good. This is what we want. This is our goal. So we're putting our best selves first. Not just on the outside, getting haircuts, putting on our best clothes, smelling good, whatever the case may be. Women doing their hair. I mean, we're not just going out in our lawnmower clothes talking about, hey, love me. You see what I'm saying? We're trying to put our best selves forth and trying to get the best result, which is to be loved. That's the goal. But there's an issue. There's an issue in this dance. I'm putting my best self forth, but guess what? My best self is still not good enough. Why? Because I'm imperfect. I can put forth my best self. I'm still not going to be what someone probably wants me to be. There will be something that they probably just will not like. And that goes for us all. So now, what happens? If I feel like you don't like something about me, and you may tell me, you may not, that I need to do better with this, or I need to change this, or this and that and the other. We're not gonna get into what's true and what's not, whether it's true or not. If this is me, and you are telling me that in order to get affection, that in order to receive love from you, that I have to change something, and I do, guess what happens? I have to give up something in me in order to get affection from you. In order to be loved, I may have to give up my autonomy, some of my freedom, some of my personality. I may have to give up in order to be loved by you, in order to receive affection, in order to get that eros. Now, once that happens, though, and especially if it continues to happen over time, one starts to feel manipulated. And feeling manipulated, I now also feel anger towards the person that I love. And I don't know what to do with that. The person that I love and that I need affection from, I also feel anger towards. Because I feel, if nothing else, I feel that I had to change who I was in order to get the affection. And that angers me. That angers a lot of people. So I have the feeling of need and the feeling of anger. The need for affection and anger that I had to change myself or be manipulated in order to get it. Because who I am is not who I really am. It's not who I really want to be. But I had to change some things in order to be with you. In order to be with you, I had to be something other than who I really am. This is the dilemma. Again, dialectical tension between affection and aggressiveness. Affection and anger. And sometimes we feel both. And so then it just becomes a matter of which one are we going to choose. And a lot of times, at least half of the time, we're not choosing love. We're choosing death and destruction. We're choosing separation. We're choosing divorce. We're choosing breakup. And don't get me wrong, especially when you're in a relationship with someone and you have compromised yourself and the other person always thinks that they're right. They're never wrong. It's always you having to compromise. That's not a good feeling. That's not a good feeling at all. You feel unappreciated, to say the least. And the other person just going on getting whatever they want, having their way, as if they are more important or the most important in a relationship. Some people's personalities are like that. It's either their way or the highway. And we're not talking about little stuff. See, little stuff doesn't faze people. Doesn't faze me, doesn't really faze you, doesn't faze anybody. You really want to test where someone really is and who they really are? When a person feels threatened, that is going to tell you who this person really is. Whatever threatens them, whatever it is that they really fear, that's going to bring out who they really are. And that can take time. So, again, when there are situations where no one is really wrong, there are things that just can't be resolved, can't be overcame. We choose dissolution. That's what we choose. We choose destruction. We choose divorce. We choose breakup. We choose anger. We choose rage. We choose separation. We choose division and not unity. And this brings me back to why it is so important to have, or I should say, to be able to embody the virtues, ethical virtues, because the love that we all want, which is unconditional love, is something that is displayed whether you feel the feeling of love or not. So it is a love absent of feeling. Agape love is unconditional love, which is what agape is. Love with the absence of feeling. You love anyway, and that's difficult to do. So, again, this is the dialectical tension that we all face. And this is what happens in relationships, and which leads to the destruction of the family, right? The destruction of man and woman, husband and wife, partnerships, friendships. This is what happens. But again, they're both going to coexist. They're not going to coexist at the same time, but sometimes when pain, disappointment, disagreement comes into our life and our love is severed, and Thanatos is there, we have to know how to manage it, because it's going to come. And the beauty of it is this: because they have to coexist, you can't have one without the other. If you just have one, you wouldn't even know what the other one meant. If you just have water and it's just water, there's no reason for hot or cold. The only reason you know what cold is because you know what hot is. The only reason you know what hot is because you know what cold is. So they have to coexist in order to know what the other one is. But the beauty about Eros and Thanatos is that they work together. I'm not gonna know if I love you until Thanatos shows up and communicates to me whether I do or not. Because what I go through, or what we go through, is going to give me a decision, or is going to lead me to a decision of love or destruction. So my love, if it's real, will be tested. Has to be tested in order to know if it's real. In order to know if it's real, it has to be tested. I can tell you I love you all day, but the action is something totally different. That's a whole nother monster. So they actually work together. Eros and Thanatos working together so that a person knows what love is. A person doesn't know what disloyalty, what loyalty is, until they have experienced disloyalty. Now you know. Know the little baby? Talking about fire. Don't touch that fire, it's hot. That baby don't know what hot is. Doesn't know what hot is until it get his hand burned. Until something hot touches it. Then it's gonna know what hot is. Until the experience, hot is just a word. But once you go through it, now I know what hot is, and now I know what cool is. But the question is, what are you gonna choose? Which one are you going to align yourself with? And these are difficult questions. Because when we go back to the relationship, we all kind of repress something within us for the sake of the relationship. We all kind of, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do this, or I shouldn't do that, or, because if I do, then this may hurt me and her, me and him, whatever the case may be. This may, destroy our family, destroy us. So I'm not going to do that. Even though this is what I want to do, even though I have always done it, even though this is what's in me, and I'm not even necessarily saying that I'm doing something wrong or you're doing something wrong. I know for a fact that all these people out here that talk about, well, I don't have male friends and female friends are lying to their mates. They mates don't want them to have female friends or male friends, especially dudes. Or who is that dude? Dudes do not want their ladies having male friends. Females are probably a little bit more okay, but maybe not. I know some that it's a no-no. But that ain't stopping people from having them. They just gonna lie to you and say, no, I don't, and talk to their friends when you're not around. The same as you're going to do. Because I have women friends who tell their men that they don't have friends, male friends. I know this for a fact. So it all just comes down to we are who we are. And if it is a need that we need to get met, 9 times out of 10, we're going to get that need met. Because to us, it is a need. It's not a want. A need is almost based on you need food to live. You need water to live. That's physically. But there are some needs mentally that we have to have. And we're going to get them fulfilled. One way or another. I choose just to be honest with mine. And whatever happened. I let the chips fall where they may. But I know everybody is not like me. I'm not saying my way is the right way. But that's the way I choose to do things because I don't like that dialectical tension. I don't like that. I'm going to choose one and roll with the punches. That's less stressful for me. And it's just real for me. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this discussion on dialectical tension, the conflict within us and how we go through so much on a day-to-day basis that we don't even realize. Eros and Thanatos have to coexist. You're not going to know one without the other. When Thanatos does rear his head, the good thing is, and this is why makeup sex is so great, when you come back together, you really realize how much you love this individual, how much you missed them, how much you cherish him. We were mad we wasn't talking, but we worked it out, and oh my God, it's like the relationship is brand new. It's a lovely feeling. Thanatos reminds us of what love really feels like. This is Larry Lou. Elevation is in order. Peace.